Hello, ladies and gents. Romie Mojo here. Please like, comment, subscribe. So, I kept seeing it trending. And people kept talking about it. People with various interests kept talking about it. And I said, okay, I'll watch Tiger King. So I watched Tiger King. I binge watched all of it last night. All 7 episodes. First of all, why didn't anyone tell me there was 7 episodes? Second of all, why didn't anyone tell me it was only 7 episodes? I could have done 3 more. Maybe not last night, but today. Oh my gosh. So Joe Exotic he's alive, but he is essentially this very eccentric man down there in Florida, who has an affinity for felines, for large cats, big cats. Feels primarily the cats were the draw, were the focus. And he had an animal park. And it was very successful, but like with anything else with success and money attached to it and eyes and fame, foolishness comes in. And the foolishness for him really was, oh boy. So Joe wanted to become famous instead of just doing right by the animals. And anything that impeded that fame was an issue. Joe also had 2 husbands. He had 2 husbands. I said, wait, what? He got the first one. He got the second one. The second one, unfortunately, allegedly accidentally killed himself. The first, all of them were doing drugs like meth, cocaine, who knows what else, weed, drinking, but I think the drug of choice was meth. Damn, the drug of choice being what's that? Anyway, that's not the focus here. Apparently, both of Joe's husbands weren't really gay. Not saying that they were 100% straight, but they really weren't interested in being in a relationship or actually even having sex with men. They just stayed with Joe because Joe had money, or at least he had the ability to buy them things. I said, oh, so y'all are low-level escorts. I didn't say high-level, low-level escorts. One was named John, the other one was named Travis. This whole thing was a mess. Joe, again, like I said, he had this mortal enemy, Carol Baskin. And apparently Carol Baskin is a highly successful park owner as well. She was married to this rich man who she was technically the mistress to for the first couple of years prior to him getting a divorce and then marrying her. How they met was odd. He was driving, he saw her, she was having issues with her then husband, and he told her he wanted to talk so she could take his gun, point it at him while they drive around and talk. What? Every person was off. I'm not going to use the word weird. Off. Every person was off. And it only got worse. Episode after episode, it only got worse. It got worser. And Carol Baskin, her husband disappeared. What? Like over 20 years ago? And they couldn't find him. His goal was to breed and sell the cats that they had. She actually loved the animals and didn't want to breed them and sell them, and so that became a huge issue for the 2 of them. As a result of that, it said that she killed her husband, fed the husband to one of the big cats, and grinded the rest in the meat grinder that they had there. or at least that's the story that Joe wants the world to believe. And no, I said, what? I was so confused. I was just watching this whole thing like, huh? Joe even put a hit out on Carol. There was this, so when Joe was doing all of his mess, and at one point he needed an investor, this guy by the name of Jeff came in, and while Carol was suing him because Joe, again, he hated Carol. He did all these online videos because he loved attention. So he did all of these online videos, and where he would go and have this doll or Carol lookalike and shoot her, stab her, put sex toys in her mouth, the whole shebang. Joe's demented. Like, you're doing too much if you're fully focused on one person like that. But it was a two-way street because Carol was also focused on him because she believed that, oh, he's trying to say that he's this good person, that he loves the animals. It's all about the animals, but he's breeding the animals, he's selling the animals, he's abusing the animals. Why are the animals in cages? I'm thinking, you all have cages. All of you are partially hypocrites. That's it. That's it. That's it. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what your reasoning is. All of you are partially hypocrites. Wow, my hair really makes this hat fit so well. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyway, Joe with his drugs, his husband wanting to run for mayor, wanting to run for governor. He was a mess, but very polarizing. He actually had this online show. Carol is very successful online. She makes a lot of money off of Facebook. She makes money off of YouTube. She gets millions of views per week, probably per day, honestly, because people love animal videos. That's the thing. All of them should be getting a lot of views because people love animal videos. If I had a pet, trust and believe, I would have my pet on screen just because people would watch, just because there's a cat or a dog or an owl on the screen. I would have the pet sit right. My door opened up. I was like, no witchcraft over here. Anyway, no spirits, no demons over here. But back to the main point. Circling back to Carol's husband, Louis, his ex-wife fully believes that Carol knows what happens to him. Whether she did anything directly to him or not, she's not sure about that. But at least knowing what happened, because here's the thing. He loved to go to Costa Rica because, one, apparently he had other women there. He was truly a ladies' man. He was truly paranoid. He buried his money anywhere and everywhere. People say that his fortunes range from 5 million to 20 million. And he liked to go to Costa Rica. He liked to sell the cats there, and he wanted to settle down there. Carol didn't want to relocate there, so that was their main issue. And aside from maybe the other women, excuse me, with him disappearing, taking the van, but then he left his briefcase and the keys in the van, and at the airport where he supposedly drove to take off didn't make sense. His pilot's license was revoked, so with him flying the plane by himself, he probably wouldn't have reported it. And I'm thinking, how many plane rides are under the radar even today, but especially back then? It's scary. It's like, of course, what ended up happening a couple of years later easily happened. But that's another story for another day. People feel like, oh, someone else drove the van. And then the fact that the van was not dusted for fingerprints until a couple of days later, which means that anyone could have gone and tampered with it, or any DNA evidence that could have been on there and useful was gone by now. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe her husband got into a bad business deal and she just either learned about it and kept quiet to save her own life, or she could have sold him out. Who knows? I don't know her. But Joe's trying to convince the world that she was just this awful, disgusting person, and It's funny because Joe had so many issues with PETA, but eventually he needed PETA's help. See how this whole thing works? I think Joe is still in jail because he got sentenced for 22 years. Why is Joe in jail? Joe ended up getting in jail. First, originally, he had to deal with this copyright lawsuit thing with Carol because he realized, oh, Carol has so many followers. Carol has so many followers, and Joe wanted to find a way to gain access to them. So many followers. Anytime you put in her company's name online, it pops up first all over the world. So that he created a sub portion of that company and just added entertainment, and even used their image, slightly altered it, but definitely copyright. He got in trouble. He lost the lawsuit. They were granted $1 million. I think the judge was just tired of constantly having to deal with Joe. Joe was also a Looney Tune. Joe was shooting a bunch of stuff, constantly shooting things. Apparently, there's this type of bullet that if you shoot something with it, it automatically blows up. I think that's what... I don't know. I'm not into gun culture, so I have no idea. But he liked to shoot. He liked to shoot a lot. And he put a lot of it on social media. But apparently, he even thought about killing her originally. Can't really do... And she even said that she would kill her ex-husband. But since that was just a verbal thing that couldn't be verified, of course, the restraining order wasn't granted. The laws in this country are weird. Excuse me. There was a lot. Joe lost copyright, owed $1 million. Jeff came in to help save him. Jeff ended up taking his park. He signed away his rights basically to Jeff because Joe would constantly put his companies in his mom's name and also his husband's name whenever there was all these different lawsuits going on, also to evade from whether it was taxes or maybe let's not say taxes. I can't verify that, but at least payments, just payments in general. In order not to lose the company. His poor mom losing all her savings because of him, even though he tried to blame Carol. Dude, this was you. At one point, this was you. And then him plotting to have her killed and Jeff agreeing with it, and Jeff's right-hand man being the one who's supposed to do it, and then Joe having his husband drive the right-hand man to do it, but then chickened out and stayed somewhere else in the South. I was just like, what? But then all of them kind of admitting that this happened, and yet because this is just it kind of hearsay, and how the law works apparently is Joe would have had to been caught with actual tangible proof paying the man the money to go and kill Carol so that they could go and officially arrest him because the feds were tapping him. And it was just so crazy because then you had all these other people who were involved and working with the feds. And long story short, Joe did pay $3,000, or at least that's the story they're supposed to be going with, even though every single time you kept hearing more and more playback, you realize, wait a minute, did this person actually do this? Did this person actually do that? Then there was this guy who was this film producer who was smart. Joe actually technically signed away the rights to his internet show, and he didn't even know it. But Joe wanted everything to be filmed, which meant that anything that could put Joe in a bad light was also on the film. So then the alligator place where the studio also was magically burned down while Joe was out of town, and also already there were talks about him being on tape, or the feds watching him. Joe going to jail at this point makes sense. I'm not scared to say it. It made sense. He was probably going to get someone killed, if not himself, at some point. He already had an ex-husband who felt controlled and was drugged out and methed out, and apparently was addicted to meth, and that's the reason why he stayed with Joe, because Joe would supply him with the drugs. And also the nice thing, It's all too much. It's all too much. It's super draining, but it's really good. It's good in all the worst ways. And like I said, no one looks good. Jeff definitely looked like a scammer. Scammer. Grade A scammer. Scammed Joe out of his own zoo and then worked with this other zooman to build up the place. And then the other zooman, it was him or another guy who was actually a drug smuggler, and apparently they were using animals and using snakes and stuff in this. Now I have heard about doing that. I have heard about that being a method that was used, using like animals, especially snakes, to go and put the drugs in and then take them out, and those. And then people are like, yeah, but the animal cruelty. I'm saying, but the engine. Maybe I'm the wrong person to speak on this, but yeah, everyone was a mess. And then there was another guy who it looked like he had a cult. He had all these women. It looked like only women really working with him, working around him, that he was ended up sleeping with all of them. And it was a lot. It was draining. It was so good. You need to watch. If you did watch, let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, because I can go on all day.